Okay, so we're getting ready for the Sith Raid. I simply put my gas mods onto Kylo for this. Puts me at 581 speed, just under 100,000 health, and right at 9,900 damage. That's the only mod changing I do. We'll get into the raid here. So the key to this basically is just making sure that you're using Kylo's siphon mastery skill as much as possible. My other mods are pretty self-explanatory, normal arena mods on First Order Officer and on Hux. On Thrawn, he's relatively fast, somewhere in the 315 range. Same with Hermit Yoda. So the main thing here is to realize that this siphon or Furious Onslaught works no matter who you're targeting. So a lot of people think that it only can siphon from the side dads and not from the boss. While it's true that it doesn't decrease the mastery of the boss, it still increases Kylo's mastery by however many stacks of his buff that he has. So this siphon basically is going to stack up, and every time you use that swipe, he's going to gain that many stacks. Works great. You don't have to worry about using single target on Nihilus here every time or anything like that. It's just a matter of keeping the swipe up. Generally, I try to get my stacks up to about 200 where I can, and go from there. And just use swipe every time I can. So I'll just keep going through here. I'll give commentary when I need to on something here. Again, we're going to keep stacking up that siphon total. I usually, with First Order Officers, send the turn meter over here to Hermit Yoda, both for healing and for additional Masters training. Don't need the big heal until after Annihilate. Unless somebody starts getting low. Here we're just going to use basic. And see, now we're over 200, and when we get onto the ultimate here, we're going to get some nice damage going. In this first phase, I only give Master's Training to Kylo and to Thrawn. Don't worry about the First Order guys. We don't want them losing a bunch of health and stuff. So again, here in the ultimate, he's going to be able to have any of his abilities, but we're going to use the swipe every time to gain that lots of mastery, the 420 stacks every time. Obviously, we keep an eye on Nihilus's cooldowns. Here I will use the Mass Assist just because I get the extra damage from his basic while he's buffed. And we're fully on mastery again here. And here I did Yoda just to give a little bit extra healing. Again, you could go to Kylo there without too much trouble. We're getting close to Annihilate, so we're going to want to think about that here shortly. for Annihilate, it usually just comes down to where my term meter is. So we're going to save that so we can heal up the whoever gets annihilated. So we know Hux is going to get a turn here before Nihilus does, so we won't worry about that. And we'll go ahead and give him last stand. Nihilus should be ready to go here in a minute. And perfect. And only basic allowed here, but that's, you know, almost 10% of the health there gone. From here, this first phase should go pretty quickly. We're already getting close to 800 stacks while he's got his ultimate up. A couple of basics should get us down. There was a 10% hit there. Here, I'm not worried about gaining stacks at this point. I know in 1 or 2 hits here, he's going to be dead anyway. And one more. So we just want to make sure we've got cooldowns up. Well, not cooldowns, but you've got your abilities on off of cooldown. A basic here should get him into phase 2. Phase 2 is really pretty easy. You don't have to worry so much about anything really. You can put Master's Training on the other 2 during this phase. Don't have to worry about Annihilates, obviously. This phase is pretty easy. The main thing is just making sure you stack your stacks of Siphon up quickly so that you outrace the enrage timer. Without the ultimate, it can be kind of hairy getting there, but it's not too bad. You want to try to not use that swipe unless you do have some stacks here. Just helps to make sure you're using it efficiently. Also, you want to try to go into the ultimate with stacks as well. That's why I'm going to actually go here and build up some stacks before going to ultimate. I also do try to cleanse pain from these guys periodically, at least from like Thrawn and the other guys. Just try to keep a little bit of damage down so I don't lose people. Eventually you're going to lose most of them, but you can sometimes get through to phase 4 with everybody, but usually Hux dies earlier because he loses max health quickly. going to try to get up 200, 300 is ideal. We're already hitting for 500K. There goes Hux, and that's perfectly fine. Happens. So we're almost at 700K now just on the swipe, which isn't his most powerful ability. 900. It's tempting to use the basic because it does a lot of damage, but I generally will only do it once I'm down to maybe the last 30% or so, unless I'm just in this kind of a situation where I have no other choice. But even here, it only did 6% of his life. So the only thing really to worry about here is the enrage timer. Just want to be aware of it. As you can see, that hit did like 14% here. So now we're under 30%. I'll start using some basics because I don't want to use up his other things. So we'll see. This does 12%, and this should knock him out. So now into phase 3. Phase 3 is really pretty simple. There are some complications with isolate. The main thing with isolate to remember is if Yoda is stealthed, obviously he can't be a target, and if Kylo is in his ultimate form, the isolate does not get applied because you can't get debuffs during that while you're in ultimate stance. Other than that, if Thrawn gets it, you can still pass turn meter to Kylo. If First Order Officer gets it, you're pretty much just doing his basic or his special until someone else gets it. It kind of sucks if Yoda gets it, just because you can't use Grandmaster's Training to use that mass assist, but that's really the only thing that's influential here. You're going to spend most of the time with her toppled anyway. Even at 40 stacks here, this swipe is going to probably kill all the sabers by itself. So I like using a basic there. I'm trying to get one more of these before I go into ultimate stance. With this much speed, you're going to get 2 or 3 or 4 turns before she gets back up. So putting him into his ultimate stance now, while she has isolate up, gives you more chance that she's going to try to target him. Also, Yoda has Grandmaster's Training available, so that's going to stealth him. So there's 3 options, and 2 of them are good. Either Thrawn or Kylo getting the isolate will be pretty meaningless for this fight. And she put it on Thrawn, which is fine. Like I say, he can still swap turn meter while he's got Isolate. Not a lot of damage to worry about in this phase. Even her stacks will get somewhat high maybe, but it's not too bad because she doesn't have a whole lot of health. I do sometimes try to delay his ultimate if I need to, so that it lines up with her Isolate being off of cooldown. A lot of times it doesn't matter though, because he'll have it back up before too terribly long. So again, we're trying to get up above 200 as quick as we can here. But it's not really worth it to try to stack it up while you're in ultimate stance. You're going to get much more use out of using your swipe ability to stack your stacks higher. So we were good there. Isolate went on to Thrawn again. So no biggie. To get a ability block. And we're ready for ultimate again. .6% on basic right now. I try to keep an eye on what my basic does for damage, just so I know when I can start just using the basic to finish her off. It's helpful to have that kind of in your back pocket to know. Finish off the saber there. We're getting some good damage now. Basic here is going to do about 8%. Doing about 5% on a swipe there. Get an Isolate here. And this time she did First Order Officer, but at this point we're to the point where it's not going to matter. 7% that one. And a couple of basics and she will be done. One basic. Now in phase 4, it's a little bit different than what you normally do. I typically will kill Scion first instead of Nihilus. Reason for that is by the time I get to Nihilus, the stacks will be so high that since the stacks don't reset in this phase, it'll take me 4 or 5 attacks on Nihilus to kill him from whatever he starts at. Keep in mind that we are doing AoE quite a bit. Really, you just have to target back and forth to keep track of his Annihilate cooldown, and yeah, that's pretty much all that's going to be necessary here is making sure to keep track of that. I try to keep not isolate, but fracture on Nihilus as long as I can, just to keep that damage rolling, or keep him from getting buffs, I guess, primarily. You do have to kind of watch Treya's stacks here just to make sure and reset them every now and then, just to keep things from getting too out of hand with your ads. With all the mastery that Kylo ends up getting, her saber throw does like no damage to him, which is kind of nice, even when she's enraged. Obviously, I don't waste his turns to get rid of isolate on somebody. Not really worth it. First order officers served his purpose at this point. You can get through actually phase 3 and 4 with just Kylo and Yoda. So don't be freaking out if you lose everybody in phase 2 except for those two. You can certainly solo the rest of it. It just takes a little bit longer, though not much. So 6 turns on Annihilate. So we're cruising along here. You can see when she hits Kylo, it does like 119 damage. It's nothing. Go ahead and cleanse that. Back into the ultimate stance. Oop, wrong guy, but not a big deal. Four turns for Nihilus. Also keep in mind Nihilus, so Kylo obviously can't use the tank ability, this Unbreakable Will. However, if Kylo is in ultimate stance, he can't be defeated, so you can use that to survive Nihilus as Annihilate. You just have to make sure you're in ultimate stance, because if you're not, then you will die. And we should be... Okay, he is up, so we're probably going to use Yoda for that, just so... because we're not sure that Thrawn will get another turn at this point. Before, didn't mean to hit him, but that's okay. Well, Thrawn should get a turn. So we'll go ahead and do this here. Yep, so we'll go ahead and do that. He'll get hit. Then we've got his big heal, but Thrawn's got Isolate right now, so it's not going to do anything, so we will probably lose Thrawn, but that is perfectly fine. So already we're doing about 5% with that swipe, and we're not yet at 200. We want to try to get there here pretty quick. Another thing to bear in mind is that Nihilus will get eliminated at 5. So right now, if we used a basic, we will actually kill him, which will end up with a higher score for us, which is good. If you hit him at 5% or under 5% with your ability, then he will... Treya will kill him, and you'll end up with a lower overall score. So we kill him outright. Treya doesn't sacrifice him. And now we've got a Nihilus. He's at 64%. We should be able to kill him in just a few hits here. We're already doing 14% there with him. And we've got this back up. And as you see, she put isolate on him, and he was able to resist or not get hit with that debuff. All right, Nihilus at 12%. Basic here should finish him off. Nope, got him at 5%, so I won't get a maximum score because Traya sacrifices in there. Get a little heal, and you'll see that at this point, I don't think I'm. Oh wow, got a dodge. That's crazy. As you can see, she's not doing anything to him. So 15% per hit at this point when he's not in ultimate stance. Throw this. A lot of times I end up being doing 20 to 30% per hit at this point with just Traya left. I didn't get my stacks up as high as I normally do. And when it's at that point, you basically 3-hit her and she's dead. So already 2 more hits and she'll be dead. And at this point, you're done. So she is actually enraged at this point. You notice that she just hit me a couple times and it did absolutely nothing to me. At this point, I'm mainly checking on to see if people are done. I'm going to check Discord real quick. So we're just waiting on some people to finish up. I'm going to give it a couple seconds here for someone to post that they've got their damage in or at least started, and then I will post and finish this off. Okay, so it's been maybe 10 minutes or so, but everyone's had a chance to get in. This total run took about 25 minutes, start to finish, and that was including stopping to talk through this. I will go ahead and show my mods here as soon as the battle finishes. I got the second highest possible score, I think. In order to get the highest possible, you had to completely kill Nihilus with one shot from above 5%. Obviously mine didn't quite get all of that 5%, so I did not get the maximum score. Maybe. Just waiting on this to come up with the victory screen. Alright, victory screen finally came up. That was crazy. So, as you can see, 170 million, 274, I think there's like a 308 or something like that above that, or maybe 400. So, for mods, I'll go through that real quick, just so you guys can see where that is at. So, for Kylo, kind of went through this before, but we're looking at 100,000 health, 581 for speed, 210 for crit damage, and just under 10,000 for regular damage. For Hux, I have Hux at 87,000 health. It's about 50. 324 for speed. The rest is pretty irrelevant. We're just looking at speed and maybe health for him. For First Order Officer, I have him just a tad slower at 320. Again, the other stats are irrelevant for him. For Thrawn, he is sitting at 289, so a little under 300 for him. And then lastly, Hermit Yoda is at 296. So, not the fastest speed mods out there. You could certainly put those two over 300 and maybe make it a little bit better. But ultimately, I rarely run into any issues with this method. Thanks for watching.